Hey guys, welcome to Gelli Print project number 3, and today it's about envelopes. Well, one envelope in particular. Now if you're sitting there thinking, project number 3, what was project number 1 and 2? Then you might want to start at my first video in this series where I share some tips on how to do gelli printing. And here's a link to it, and there's a link in the description as well below. And you'll find links to the other projects in this series also in the description below. So what I thought would be fun today is if we did some double-sided printing. So you find me here inking up my Gelli Plate again. Well, when I say ink, I'm actually using acrylic paint. And I'm taking one of the prints from that first video and I'm going to turn it over and just print on the other side. And that's double-sided printing. Kind of simple, really. It may be simple, but it is actually a really useful technique. And I'm going to use it to make some little envelopes. Now I'm using one of my own templates today, and if you're interested in getting your hands on this for free, then stick around to the end of the video and I'll let you know how. I've just printed this out on very ordinary printer paper, nothing special, and I'm just cutting it out with a craft knife. And I'm using a metal ruler for those straight lines, but I'm also going to use a pair of scissors to do the curve for the top of the envelope. Now these envelopes, I kind of call them keepsake envelopes because they're very handy for sort of like holding little things, as you'll see later. And the finished envelope, when it's closed, measures around about 8.5 by 10 centimetres, or that's 3 3/8 by 4 inches. So they are a good size for gift cards as well. And also this size is great to fit into those prints with some spare space to manoeuvre. And of course you can use any templates or sizes that you want, but do keep in mind the size of your gelli prints on both sides of the paper. And if you do need a little bit of extra space, you can always line up the tabs over the area of the paper that doesn't have the gelli print on it. I've got 3 double-sided prints, and I think I'll choose this nice one where it's pink on one side and blue on the other. It's kind of a lovely contrast. So all I need to do now is transfer my template onto that gelli print. And for this I'm using a soft pencil and a ruler. But you could easily draw around it as well, but just be careful not to move the paper template whilst you draw around it. Or as you move the paper around, like I'm doing here, if you do have to move your paper, then just make sure that the template is completely flush with the lines you've already got down. I know it's completely obvious, but it's very easy to misalign these things, and then wonder why they don't fit together when we come to put them together. Yeah, we've all done it. So whilst I've still got my ruler out, I'm just going to score my fold lines. And you can use a specialised scorer for this, or do as I'm doing, and I'm using a small ball embossing tool. This is my favourite scoring tool. I've tried specialised tools that come along with bone folders. I've also tried the trick with an old ballpoint pen that's run out of ink. You know that trick? But I find this small ball embossing tool works really well, especially on papers like this. Right, some more cutting now and just cut out that envelope. And I'm just using exactly the same technique as I did for the template at the start. As I've already got my fold lines scored, I can start folding. If you didn't score them before cutting out, then score them now and then start folding. And you might find a bone folder handy at this point as well to get a really nice crisp fold. I'm just using my nails because they're quite long at the moment, so they're acting like a bone folder. So hopefully you should have the front and the back nicely flush with each other. If not, then don't worry about it. Open up the envelope again and use your craft knife just to take a small slither off the bottom of that back flap. And when you're ready you can stick your envelope together, and any glue that works well with paper will do, or even double-sided adhesive tape will be fine as well. You also might want to get rid of any pencil marks that are still visible. In the end I turned all 3 of my double-sided prints into envelopes, and I think they look pretty cute. I love the coloured insides on that, that's really fun. Now I need to decide what to do with them, and I bet you can think of at least 1,000 ways to use these, like adding them to front of cards for instance, or perhaps using them as pockets on an art journal page. And I love how this bright envelope looks on that dark blue art journal page in my junk journal. Of course you can use them as actual envelopes too. I'm not sure how the post would cope with a size like this, but a bigger one would totally put a smile on someone's face as it dropped through the letterbox. But you know what? I think I'm going to decorate mine and use them as little gifting envelopes. Now there's nothing stopping you from drawing on them or stamping on them, adding more colour to them, whatever you like. But for mine, I think I'm going to keep them pretty simple and add some paper embellishments. So for this first envelope, I'm using some star dies from Craft Stash to cut some spare paper. Now these dies stack and they have a really nice stitched and pierced detail to them around the edges. And before I stick them in place, I'm just going to make sure that I can still close the envelope. And I won't put any glue on that top part of the star. For the next one, I'm using a butterfly that I made with jelly printing again, using products I designed for Paperartsy. So for envelope number 3, I thought I'd add some dimension with some paper leaves and a spiral rose, and the jelly prints come in handy again to make these embellishments. And the double printed papers are just perfect for making a spiral rose. So I make mine by first cutting a small circle, then cutting it into a spiral. Now just remember that the thickness of the spiral will dictate how tall the rose is, so I try and keep mine not too tall. And then starting from the outside of the circle, just curl that spiral round to the centre. And with this double-sided print, I can choose which colour I want to be more dominant, so I'm going to go for a blue rose. So I'm making sure that in my spiral, the blue side is on the inside. Once I've curled my spiral, I let it relax very slightly to open up the flower. Then I'll add some glue to hold it together. Now tweezers can come in really handy to push the centre curl into the glue, and it's a good idea to use a thick, quick drying glue for this job, which I'm not doing here. So it's very much a case of do as I say rather than do as I do. This is the glue that I had to hand. It's just my usual regular gel medium, and it just means I'm going to have to hold the flower together just a little bit longer than if I'd used a thicker glue. Now whilst the glue is still wet, I'm just going to drop a bead into the centre of my rose. Then as the glue starts to dry, I can just play around with where I'm going to put the rose and the leaves as well. And I decided I need another leaf branch to match the first one so that I can go with a more symmetrical design. So I hope all of these ideas and inspiration have been kicking off lots of ideas for your next make. If they have and you've enjoyed the video, then please do like it and feel free to share it. Also, you might want to become one of my subscribers, and I bring out new art and craft videos every Sunday and Wednesday. So I was wondering, what do you think you would use your double jelly printed envelopes for? Do you think you'll art journal with them? Maybe you'll add them to a card? I would love to hear, so leave me a comment below letting me know. Now, as promised, if you would like the envelope template that I've been using today, then just pop over to my blog. Here is a link and it's in the description as well. I'm sending this template out to all of my newsletter members, so if you aren't on my newsletter, sign up and you'll be able to download it ready for use. Thanks for joining me today. Have lots of creative fun and I'll see you next time.